Meet a woman whose world went dark, but found light in the form of a guide dog. This loyal companion led her not just along a path, but on a journey that changed everything. With every step, a surprising secret unfolded that would shock the world. Their bond, full of love and courage, pushed the limits of trust and opened doors to the unknown. Their journey is a testament to love, loyalty, and the power of trust. In the next moments, we reveal how one guide dog turned despair into hope, sparking a twist that no one could have predicted. Every day, she wakes up to a world without sight, a world felt only through touch, sound, and the gentle guidance of her faithful companion. Her name is not written in headlines, yet her life is a story of quiet strength and unseen beauty. The guide dog, always at her side, is more than a helper. It is her trusted friend who carries her through both calm days and sudden storms. In a modest home filled with warm memories, she lives a mix of hope and hardship. Simple routines guide her from one day to the next. Every morning, the familiar sound of her footsteps and the soft pad of the dog's paws on the floor mark the beginning of her journey. Despite the darkness that clouds her eyes, she sees the world in ways that many might overlook. Through the rich sounds of laughter, the rustle of leaves in the wind, and the tender touch of those who care. Her guide dog, a gentle soul with alert eyes and an unwavering heart, has been by her side for many years. Together, they share moments of silent understanding. The dog learns every nuance of her walk, every hesitation before a step, and every moment of joy when the world offers a kind surprise. Their bond is not just built on necessity. It is built on love, trust, and countless shared moments that speak louder than words. One quiet morning, as the first light of dawn tiptoed around the edges of her small kitchen, something felt different. The familiar sounds of the house were the same, the ticking clock, the hum of the refrigerator, but there was a subtle change in the air. The dog, usually calm and measured, nudged her hand with an urgency that sent a ripple of concern through her heart. It was as if the dog sensed that this day held a secret promise, something beyond the routine they had known for so long. As she carefully rose from her bed, the dog led her to the door, pausing as if to let her know that a new chapter was about to begin. With each step along the corridor, memories of past journeys and quiet victories filled her mind. The familiar feel of the worn carpet and the soft echoes of her footsteps had always been a comfort. Yet today they hinted at a hidden twist waiting just beyond the threshold. Stepping outside, the cool morning air wrapped around her like a soft blanket. The street was quiet, and the usual sounds of the neighborhood were tinged with an unusual hush. Every familiar landmark, a bending tree, the old brick building, the park with its echoing laughter, seemed to hold his breath as if guarding a secret. The dog led her steadily forward, pausing at crossroads and sniffing the air with an alertness that was rare. In that moment, she felt a spark of anticipation. Her heart beat a little faster, not with fear, but with the excitement of the unknown. It was as if her loyal friend was urging her to trust in a new direction. Each step was measured and careful, guided by an instinct that both comforted and challenged her. The streets, the sounds, and the very air around her felt charged with possibility, a silent promise of discovery that could change everything. As she walked, the details of the world unfolded in layers. The sound of distant traffic mixed with the chirping of birds, and somewhere along the path, a familiar melody from a nearby shop floated in the air. Yet, through all these sounds, the dog's presence was a constant, a living compass in the dark. With every careful step, she relied on the dog's steady lead, trusting that this companion had a plan beyond the ordinary. The journey took them past bustling corners and quiet lanes, and slowly, the path grew less familiar. The dog's pace quickened slightly, and there was a clear determination in the way it moved. The usual gentle guidance turned into something more insistent, as if urging her to follow down a road that was rarely traveled. With each step, the surroundings began to change, a subtle shift in the sounds, the scents, and the very feel of the pavement underfoot. In the midst of this journey, a memory stirred deep within her. She recalled stories of chance encounters and unexpected meetings, moments that forever changed the course of a life. Though she could not see these moments, She felt them in her heart. The dog's behavior seemed to echo those stories, each step a beat in a larger, unfolding narrative that promised surprises and heartfelt moments. The path they trod grew more winding and mysterious. There were pauses where the dog would stop, head tilted, listening to sounds that the world rarely noticed. In those brief moments, she felt a mix of curiosity and trepidation. What was calling out to her on this day? What lay at the end of this unusual path that felt both familiar and completely new? The quiet intensity of the morning gave way to a charged silence that spoke of secrets yet to be revealed. Even as questions swirled in her mind, one truth remained clear. Her guide dog was never wrong. The loyalty and instinct of this remarkable animal had always steered her safely through life's many uncertainties. And now, that same loyalty was drawing her toward a moment that would soon alter everything. The gentle tug of the leash, the soft whimper of anticipation from the dog. Each sign pointed to a turning point that could not be ignored. As the sun climbed higher, casting gentle shadows on the pavement, the road began to open up into a wider space. The sounds of the city gave way to a quieter rhythm, one that pulsed with the promise of revelation. Here, in this moment of transition, she felt a stirring of both hope and worry. Every step forward was a step into the unknown, but also a step toward discovery that lay hidden just beyond her reach. With the guide dog leading the way, she moved forward with steady determination. The ordinary had dissolved into a scene of suspense, where each heartbeat echoed the promise of something unexpected. Her senses, finely tuned to the nuances of life without sight, picked up every detail. The soft murmur of a breeze, the distant call of bird, the firm, reassuring guidance of the dog's presence. Now, standing at the edge of a familiar street that opened into a new direction, the mystery deepened. There was a pause, a breath held between what was known and what was yet to be revealed. The quiet intensity of that moment was almost tangible. The journey had led her here, to a point where the world seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for the next move. Stay with us, because as she takes a step into uncharted territory, the true meaning of her journey is about to unfold. What awaits her on the other side? The answer may shake the very foundation of what we think we know about trust, fate, and the power of connection. The journey took a sudden turn as she followed her loyal companion down a quiet lane. The familiar hum of everyday life gave way to a softer, almost secret sound. The guide dog, always so sure and steady, led her to a spot that felt different, a place that seemed to hold its own quiet story. The path opened into a small clearing where an old, weathered bench sat under a towering oak tree. Its bark was rough and the wood of the bench showed signs of time, yet there was a gentle warmth in the air around it. As they neared, the dog slowed its pace and stopped in front of the bench, tilting its head as if urging her to look closer. Even though her eyes could not see the details, she sensed a change in the air. Her other senses grew more alert. The scent of fresh earth mixed with a hint of metal that tickled her fingertips when she brushed past the bench. The guide dog gently nudged something on the ground near the bench's leg, a small, mysterious object that lay hidden under fallen leaves and dust. With cautious curiosity, she reached out with trembling hands. Her fingers found a small box, its surface cool and slightly worn. The box was modest in size, wrapped in simple paper with faint writing on it. A soft, rhythmic sound of her heartbeat filled the silence as she opened the box with gentle care. Inside, she discovered a folded letter, a tiny medal, and a few old photographs that were fragile with age. The letter's paper was thin, and the ink was slightly faded. Yet, as she ran her fingers over the words, she felt an echo of familiarity, a long-forgotten memory stirring deep within her heart. The letter spoke in a clear, simple tone, almost as if it were written in a language meant to be understood by anyone. It told a story of a stormy night many years ago, when a brave act had taken place. The words described a moment of courage that saved lives, a selfless act performed by someone very dear to the letter's writer. As she listened to the quiet rustle of the paper in her hands, she felt a strange mix of confusion and awe. Could it be that she had once played a part in this remarkable event? Each sentence in the letter painted a picture of that fateful night. It mentioned a time of chaos when the rain had poured down, and how a brave soul stepped forward to help others in need. The medal nestled next to the letter was a simple piece of metal, yet it bore an inscription that spoke of honor and gratitude, a token of recognition for a deed long shrouded in mystery. As she absorbed each word, memories that she thought were lost began to flicker in her mind. She recalled fragments of a time when her world was not so dark, when her heart was filled with light despite the obstacles she faced. The guide dog remained at her side, its eyes steady and kind, as if it knew that this discovery was meant to reconnect her with a part of her past she had forgotten. A gentle breeze carried the soft murmur of voices from the distance, and as if on cue, a stranger's footsteps broke the silence. A local resident, drawn by the unusual scene and the quiet stirring of history, had approached. The stranger's tone was calm and respectful as they inquired if she was all right, and gently mentioned that news of a long-hidden act of heroism had begun to spread in the community. At that moment, the quiet clearing was filled with a sense of shared wonder. The stranger explained that the discovery of the box had sparked memories in others who had heard the story before. It turned out that many in the town had known of an unsung hero whose deed had saved lives during a terrible storm. Yet, no one had ever put together the pieces. Until now. Before the story moved further, a small note. If you find this journey as moving and mysterious as we do, now is a perfect time to join our community and follow each new twist as it unfolds. Every detail matters in a story that changes the way we see courage and love. Reassured by the kind words and the supportive community that was beginning to gather around her story, she listened as the stranger recounted more details. They spoke of a day when the truth had been hidden by time, only to be uncovered by a faithful companion who led her to this secret meeting of past and present. The medal, once a simple keepsake, was now a symbol of a hidden legacy, a legacy that had been waiting for her to reclaim it. Her heart pounded with a mix of pride and disbelief. How could it be that she had been a hero in a tale so dramatic that its truth had been hidden for so long? The letter and the medal whispered answers to questions she had never thought to ask. Each word brought clarity to a past she had assumed was lost in darkness. The shock of this revelation was not one of fear, but of deep, resonant understanding that the small acts of bravery, often overlooked in daily life, had changed so much more than just her own fate. They had touched the lives of many. The guide dog continued to sit faithfully by her side, its presence a steady reminder of the loyalty and love that had always been part of her journey. In the soft light of that unexpected meeting place, every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of conversation, the whisper of history, seemed to blend into a powerful symphony of the past meeting the present. Yet, just as clarity began to emerge, another twist in the tale surfaced. A voice from the gathering crowd mentioned that there was more to the story, a detail that had been kept hidden until now. The letter had hinted at another secret, one that could change not only how the town saw its past, but how the world would remember the act of courage that had unfolded that stormy night. In that moment, as she clutched the letter and medal close to her heart, the weight of history and the promise of new revelations mingled. The community around her buzzed with quiet excitement, each person realizing that this was not just a personal memory rediscovered, but a beacon of hope that illuminated the power of selfless acts. It was a story that transcended time, touching on themes of love, loyalty, and the deep, often hidden, connections that define us. And so, standing in that clearing beneath the ancient oak, with her faithful guide dog by her side and the legacy of her forgotten bravery unfolding before her, she faced a new, uncertain path. The questions were many, and the answers, shrouded in mystery, promised to reshape everything that was known. The shock of the discovery was only the beginning, and the full truth was yet to be revealed. As the sun climbed higher and the clearing filled with murmurs of hope and anticipation, one thing was clear. Her journey was far from over. The next chapter held the key to the secret that had rocked not only her life, but also the hearts of all who learned of her courage. The discovery of the box left her with more questions than answers. with the metal resting in her palm and the letter's words still echoing in her mind. She felt as if a long-forgotten chapter of her life was being opened for the first time. The community gathered around in quiet support, each person hanging on to every word as she slowly pieced together the clues of her past. Standing in the soft light of that clearing, the air around her felt charged with a new kind of energy. The quiet murmur of onlookers and the distant rustle of leaves blended into a single, steady beat that matched the pulse of her racing heart. Each moment was heavy with anticipation. The words in the letter told a story of courage and sacrifice, a story that hinted at a deeper secret yet to be uncovered. The medal, worn and marked by time, served as a tangible reminder of a deed that had once changed lives. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool morning air fill her lungs as she steadied herself. Her guide dog, ever loyal, stayed close by, its eyes fixed ahead with an intensity that spoke of urgency. The gentle animal had always been her compass in a world of uncertainty, and now it seemed to guide her into a mystery that stretched far beyond what she had ever imagined. In a soft voice, the stranger who had approached earlier spoke again, adding new layers to the tale. The stranger explained that the medal and the letter were part of a larger story, a secret hidden in the history of the town. Rumors had long swirled among the people about a lost act of bravery, a deed so monumental that it had been quietly swept into the shadows by time. The clues pointed to a hidden archive, a place where records of the past were kept safe and where forgotten truths waited patiently to be rediscovered. Her thoughts turned inward as she tried to make sense of it all. How could it be that she, a woman who had lived quietly without fanfare, was connected to such an important piece of history? Each word on the faded page seemed to whisper answers and mysteries in the same breath. The weight of the unknown pressed gently on her shoulders, urging her to seek the truth that lay buried beneath years of silence. With every step, the guide dog led her further along a narrow, winding path that veered away from the well-known streets of her neighborhood. The familiar sounds of the town faded behind her, replaced by the soft tapping of paws on the pavement and the distant hum of nature. As they walked, the landscape shifted subtly. The buildings grew older, and the air carried the scent of weathered wood and aged paper. It was as if the very world around her was transforming to reveal a piece of its secret history. The group that gathered behind her grew quiet, as if aware that something important was unfolding. She could sense their curiosity and hope. They, too, wanted to uncover the truth hidden in her story. A mix of determination and trepidation filled her heart as she led them along a path that had never been taken before. Then, almost without warning, the guide dog stopped, its body tense and its ears pricked up, listening to the sound that only it seemed to hear. The sudden stillness made her pulse quicken. She paused, her hand gently resting on the cool metal of the medal. In that quiet moment, everything seemed to slow down. The gentle rustle of the leaves, the soft murmur of the wind, and the barely audible sound of footsteps in the distance all combined into a single, suspenseful note. A low, soft sound drifted through the air, a sound that could have been the rustling of papers or a whisper carried on the breeze. The guide dog turned its head sharply, its eyes fixed in the direction of the sound. Her own ears strained to pick up the hint of another voice, another presence. The path ahead, once so clear and inviting, now looked different. Shadows danced along the sides of the road, and the light seemed to waver as if hiding secrets. Her heart pounded in her chest as she took a tentative step forward. The mysterious sound grew a little louder, and with it came a subtle shift in the air, a feeling that something important was about to happen. The stranger, standing a little behind her, whispered, "There is more to this than we ever imagined." The words sent a shiver down her spine, yet they also kindled a spark of determination. Every instinct told her to continue. The medal, the letter, and the unwavering loyalty of her guide dog pulled her toward the unknown. In that moment, the past and the present converged, and the line between memory and mystery blurred. The next step was not just a physical one, but a leap into a truth that had been hidden for far too long. Just as she was about to take another step, a sudden gust of wind swept through the narrow lane, carrying with it a faint sound, like the distant tolling of a bell. The sound was eerie and out of place in the quiet morning. It resonated in her ears, echoing off the walls of an old building that now loomed ahead. The structure, shrouded in shadows, seemed to beckon her closer, its dark doorway an invitation to uncover its secrets. At that very moment, her guide dog stiffened again, its gaze locked onto the building. The atmosphere grew thick with suspense as she approached the door. With a cautious hand, she reached out to push it open, her fingers trembling with a mix of fear and hope. The old wood creaked under her touch, and the door swung open slowly, revealing a dark interior filled with the unknown. Before she could fully step inside, a deep, unfamiliar voice resonated from within the building, a voice that spoke directly to her, calling her name. The sound stopped her in her tracks, and for a split second, time itself seemed to hold its breath. The community behind her fell silent as they too sensed that something momentous was unfolding. Her heart pounded as she paused at the threshold, caught between the urge to step forward and the fear of what lay beyond. In that frozen moment, with the echo of the mysterious voice lingering in the air and the guide dog standing alert by her side, she realized that her journey was far from over. The secrets of the past were ready to be unveiled, and a new chapter was about to begin. A chapter that would change everything she thought she knew. And then, as she gathered the courage to take another step, the sound of the door closing behind her was the last thing she heard before everything went silent. What happens next?